Last year I created a video about NFTs and what NFTs were. And since then I've actually immersed myself within the actual NFT space, in particularly on Twitter and some other Web3 areas. And I've actually learned a lot in the past year. And I'm going to share with you what I actually learned and what some takeaways are from that in this video with you. So if you're here for it, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel guys, and leave me a comment below, especially if you have any questions about NFTs and the NFT space and want to know some more about it. So let's dive straight into the video. Now, I'm not actually going to recap what NFTs are. You can click the link to go to my previous video to actually learn what NFTs are. It's a pretty basic concept and understanding, but what NFTs stand for is just non-fungible token. And like I said, there's a detailed description in my previous video. So NFTs were originally created around the concept of digital art and digital ownership of those pieces of art, so that you could actually reference it on the blockchain and say, I am the owner of said digital piece of work, and that is my ownership. And with that came with it a sense of IP and commercial rights to actually use that in other ways as well. Now, the most notable kind of original projects or pieces from prior a year ago were the CryptoPunks, where celebrities such as Jay-Z, Gary Vee, Logan Paul, and some of those guys actually own these NFTs. And as well as that, the pieces by Beeple, in particular the one which sold for $69 million, which was a work of I think 5,000 pieces of one every day, which he actually put together and sold as one major NFT. But since then, and especially within the last year of the NFT space, and in particular since probably the Bored Ape Yacht Club, which is one of the most notable projects out there at the moment, NFTs have moved to more of a PFP collection, which is a profile picture collection, where your NFT which you own is your digital avatar on social media platforms such as Twitter, most notably, where a lot of the NFT kind of talk and discussions actually end up. And if you actually want to spend time learning about NFTs and immersing yourself in the actual kind of NFT space, your best bet is actually going to Twitter and actually sitting on Twitter and actually interacting with these people on their posts, and also in Twitter Spaces, which is where I spend a bit of my time as well when I'm kind of degenning and spending time with NFTs. So NFTs have moved now to this concept of a profile picture or your digital avatar, and you own the actual, for most projects, the rights to these PFPs and the commercial rights and things like that. Now, there's a lot of notable projects out there, like I said, the Bored Ape Yacht Club, Doodles, Moonbirds, Goblin Town, Cool Cats, and there's a huge amount of these actual projects out there which are trying to do something long term and not just kind of here today, gone tomorrow, which, as Gary Vee said in one of his videos, 95% of most NFT projects will go to complete zero. It all depends on what that project actually does near and medium term to actually the longevity of that project, to make sure it lasts for the length of life kind of thing, or as a collectible, kind of like Pokemon cards, where they have actually lasted 20 odd years, and Charizard from 1999, the first edition, is now worth a couple $100,000. Well, obviously with some of these Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs, they're actually already worth that valuation, if not even higher, where people are paying millions of dollars just for a single PFP NFT, and they are turning over quite regularly as well. So not only are these NFT projects about your PFP or your digital avatar and the commercial rights and IP of the actual NFT you actually own, but these projects coming out recently coming out with some kind of utility as well. So in case of, say, Doodles, Bored Ape Yacht Club, and other ones like that, they've actually got merch such as this hat here, and House of Bandits, which I'm part of, with the t-shirts and other kind of bits and pieces like that. They got bags and things. And these PFP projects are now being built around creating a kind of community and kind of a hub of people where people kind of come out and interact with one another, especially online. And this concept has been adapted a lot more, especially since the COVID lockdowns and things like that, where people were kind of isolated and use the internet as some kind of escape from the boredom of their home. And on platforms such as Clubhouse, now obviously Twitter Spaces, where I was saying, a lot of the people in Web3 and NFTs kind of spend a bit of time chatting with each other, having a bit of a laugh, and kind of creating these connections, where I've actually created a lot of friends around the world now as a result of being part of these projects and interacting with them on a regular basis. And the utility is not just restricted to merch and kind of whitelist for other projects and building communities. There's actually projects such as the Crypto Mories where they actually have mental health kind of checks for the people who actually own their NFTs. Now, I'm not too sure the full details of that. I'm not part of that community itself. So if you want to go jump over to Twitter or go to their Discord, Crypto Mories, and then go to their Discord, there's more information there for you if you want to actually check it out. So can you actually make money with NFTs? And it's kind of an ambiguous answer because yes, you can, and no, you can't. There are so many factors which actually dictate if a project is going to be successful price-wise and if it's not. And there's also a lot of people out there scamming individuals with their project releases, such as what we call a rug pull, because what happens is some founders or developers create a PFP project, launch it, people buy into it, and then they just kind of take the money and disappear. And this can be sometimes immediate, after a couple of days, weeks, and even what we call sometimes a slow rug where it actually takes a long time to do so. But shouldn't be confused with where projects just lose hype and interest from its users as people go from one project to the next and next and next, and try and use that flipping nature to actually create more income, because the most hype is in the early stages of the actual project when it's launching, where there's a lot of interest, a lot of buzz, and a lot of energy around it. Launches, a couple of days afterwards, it usually kind of pumps up higher and then kind of comes down. So if you're actually new to the space, I would suggest spending a lot of time just watching and understanding how these projects actually launch and the prices, what they kind of hit and what they do. And if you do get into one of these projects, it's no problem if you take profit. Some people kind of profit shame if you do take profits early, but everyone has their own reasons for taking profit and selling, and you shouldn't be shamed for doing so. That's just my 2 cents. So what should you look for if you're actually looking at an NFT project itself in the near future? You want to try and look for projects or teams which have a background in the NFT space and have done something in the past. Now, it doesn't mean that you should just discredit other teams where they actually knew and whatnot, but you want to try and find teams where they actually have sometimes VC backing, large followings, not celebrity followings, because they usually just pump and dumps, they don't really do too much, although there is the odd project such as Stoner Cats, which is done by Mila Kunis, and that's actually done quite well, and they actually have a plan to actually release cartoons and things like that. But you want to try and find projects where they actually have a long-standing team, a lot of kind of actual clout in the actual NFT Web3 space, such as Moonbirds, where they actually launched for 2.5 Ethereum, and within a day they pumped up to like 20 ETH per NFT, which is quite great if you actually held one or actually had one. I wasn't able to get one. I didn't have the 2.5 ETH, and it was actually launched with a draft, so you actually had to win a spot to actually be able to buy one. Now, some people actually look for roadmaps within the project itself, whereas that's kind of being frowned upon a lot lately, because when the product developing team doesn't actually deliver on that roadmap, it's a lot harder for people to kind of be optimistic about it. They start fudding it because they're like, oh, why can't this be done? What's going on here? This and that. So sometimes people suggest that projects with no roadmaps actually do better over time. Now, one project such as that, which has done really, really well like that, is also the Bored Ape Yacht Club, where they launched, people just enjoyed it for the art and actually the community. There's a lot of old OGs in the actual space, and every now and again they just kind of drop some announcement saying they're going to be doing X or Y or Z, and people kind of get quite hyped about it and pump the price up high because they're actually excited about what's going to be coming down the line. So not having a roadmap isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes having a vague or minor roadmap is sometimes a good thing as well, because you can actually see what the team is actually going to work on to deliver on that project and kind of drive the Web3 space forward. The Little Lemons friends, which I've actually got quite a few NFTs of myself, they actually came out with a metaverse avatar, which was a pixelated version of its lemon, where you can run around the World Wide Web 3, which is another NFT project kind of platform, as your digital identity, which is your lemon, as your character in the game, which is actually pretty cool. And definitely jump over to the Twitter page for that one as well, and actually jump onto the World Wide Web 3, have a look for yourself and run around with it. It's pretty fun. But if you actually want to be profitable with NFTs, I have a few suggestions. Now, obviously, if you're going to be investing in or buying NFTs, only buy NFTs with money you don't actually need near or long term, because NFTs are quite liquid and the price is very, very speculative. And there's two things which actually affect the price of the NFT. The actual price itself, or in Ethereum, of the actual NFT, and that can fluctuate quite rapidly over a very, very short period of time, depending on how many people are buying, how many people are selling, and all those kind of market factors. And as well as that, it's also determined by the price of Ethereum at the time. Now, at the start of the year, Ethereum was worth quite a few $1,000s, like $3,000-$4,000, whereas now it's only below $2,000. So even if the Ethereum value of the NFT stayed the same, say it was 1 Ethereum for the NFT you purchased, based on the dollar amount of the Ethereum, you would have lost 50% of the value of that NFT. So it's a highly speculative kind of game, but there are things you can actually do to become more successful and actually make money in the space. Now, one thing is you can actually have a longer term outlook on the price of Ethereum itself. So all you try and do with the NFTs is actually accumulate Ethereum over time. So the more Ethereum you have, as the price of Ethereum actually goes up, the more money you'll have as well. But to actually make the most profit from these NFT projects, what you ideally want to do is try get allow or whitelisted for the project itself. So get on the pre-launch kind of list. And there's a few ways you can do this. There's usually raffles. You've got to grind Discord and kind of engage with the community itself on the actual Discord for the project. Stand out as a community member within that project as well. Obviously show some value. If you're an influencer, sometimes the project actually outreach to these guys, or be a whale sometimes. And it's a bit of a shame that some projects actually favor wealthy people, but it's kind of how the cookie crumbles, because a lot of projects want to try and make sure they mint out initially, because if they don't mint out, then a lot of kind of fun and kind of debating about the project starts occurring, which brings the value of the project down, and people try to sell just to get their money out of it without trying to lose too much. And another strategy which I actually hear from people out there about how to be more profitable with NFTs as well is what they do is when it launches, they try to buy 2 or 3 at a time, and they sell one to cover the costs of the entire NFT of all the ones they bought itself, then they sell the second one for profit, and then they try hold into the third for a potential moonshot where it goes to 10, 100,000x what they actually initially paid for it. So that's what a lot of people actually do with NFTs to try and become more profitable. Now, it's not a bad strategy, but you've got to be aware that not all projects are going to do that. It's highly speculative. So best thing you actually do is, like I said, spend a lot of time within the space itself, spend time on Twitter, interacting with people who actually own NFTs, tune into Twitter Spaces itself. I join a lot of them with the local Top Boys and the Intermissionary Show, which are a lot of my friends. I actually spend a bit of time with these guys in New York at NFT NYC, and these guys are actually my friends. So I'm a bit biased towards them, but honestly, very intelligent guys, great insights to the actual space itself, great investment strategies as well, and just a lot of friendly banter where we actually kind of corroborate and just talk an absolute insane amount of crap. So definitely something you could actually do. Definitely tune into the local Top and the Intermissionary Show. And don't feel afraid to actually jump up in the space and actually ask questions, because if you have a question, the best thing you can do is actually ask and educate yourself on the topic itself and kind of interact with these people. Now, they don't be upset if they don't reply to you straight away. My friends do get a lot of DMs about stuff in relation to the NFT space and things like that. But we are always there to help, and always when I'm on spaces with them, I always try to ask stupid questions, so that if there's other people who have those questions, they get answered for them as well. So I hope this video has been insightful for you about what's been going on in the NFT space in the past year, because like I said, it has changed a lot since the original punks and digital art space, and there's a lot more kind of going on within the space itself, as there's now art, PFP projects, other kind of collections, collectibles, and all kinds of things being developed like games and PFPs and whatnot. So definitely take the time to actually learn what's actually going on within the space itself. And if you enjoyed this video, guys, don't forget, smash that like button, leave me a comment, ask me a question if you have anything you want to know about the NFT space, and I'll try and help out the best I can. And don't forget, guys, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys again on the next video. Cheers.